I'm Jordan Middlebrook, and welcome back to another episode of By the Wayside. On today's episode, I speak with two illustrators slash artists slash creative people slash. This is a really positive episode. Anthony Ventura and Wong are on today's episode, so yeah. Put my cup over here. it's a pumpkin themed, Halloween themed. I don't know exactly where it leans on that. So you can see them setting up in the background because today here I am at Wayside Comics and Cocktails. My mic had to double. I gotta always remember to double check before the camera starts. Lon and Anthony are doing a creator spotlight series today here at Wayside Comics and Cocktails in Newmarket, Ontario. If you are a creative person or you're a person that likes creative stuff, artwork, comic books, there's some storybooks, literature. I can't remember. I encourage you to come to Wayside Comics for any reason because this environment, as you will find on today's episode, this environment is one of the most positive and exciting and interesting environments that you could ever find. It's for everyone, for absolutely everyone. And I encourage you to talk to owner Omar Sayer about where you heard about it. And it was here on By the Wayside because I like to hear that this show is doing well through Omar. He'll text me and say, hey, show's doing good. I say, okay, thanks, Omar. Because it's so close to Halloween, I wanted to touch on a few monstery or Halloween-y things. And so I kind of prepared. I didn't kind of prepare. I prepared. I like board games. I play board games. And I know that I know here at Wayside Comics and Cocktails, there are board games. I actually sit in this little nook here in the shop, and Omar has board games. And there are multiple horror-themed board games that I encourage you to come and check out. This is one that I really like. This is Horrified, and it is by Ravensburger. I can't remember the name of it. This is a really fun game that I've played multiple times, and currently it is available here at Wayside Comics and Cocktails. So I encourage you to check this out. It's got Universal Monsters. This is actually the second version, the second expansion of the game. And it's very fun indeed. If you like The Mummy or Bigfoot or cryptids or Dracula or the creature from the Black Lagoon, I suggest you get in on that. This is a fun little game that I found, Monster Crunch, and it's based on the horror-themed characters from, yes, that's right, your favorite cereal. I was going to say board game, but your favorite cereal. And it's about you collect milk tokens, if I remember correctly. I played this a couple times. I really enjoyed it. It was very, very nostalgic. And the artwork is exactly what you would see on the cereal box. It's a cereal box shape. This was really cool. I could not resist when I bought this game. Monster Crunch, super fun game. I recommend it. I do recommend it. Another horror-themed game, which won't surprise you that I have, and won't surprise you that I have played multiple times in one night. And that game is Disney's Haunted Mansion. This is actually a Funko game, a Funko Games game. Is it just called Funko Games? Funko Games. I can't remember. This is actually really fun, and the whole point is you collect points by capturing ghosts. And there's cards, of course, that make you lose points. There's cards that allow you to get points and get more ghosts. Really fun if you're a Disney fan, and super fun on Halloween. So you couldn't have asked for a better themed game. Disney, Haunted Mansion, and because of my heart condition, I can't ride roller coasters. The Haunted Mansion ride is still one of my favorites. And again, if you want to get yourself a horror-themed game or a Halloween-themed game, come to Wayside Comics and Cocktails. There are some available right now. I know that this is This is an October episode, but just come in, and I encourage you to talk to shop owner Omar and say, Omar, can you get me some Halloween games? He'll set you up. He'll help you out. If he can't, he'll direct you in places. I'm going to wrap up my segment here super quick because in this episode, there is so much positivity, talking about the arts. We're talking about people that inspire us. We also talk a lot about how amazing of a location Wayside Comics and Cocktails is. So stick around, and we're going to get right into the guests. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we're going to do this. We're just going to get right into it. Literally, as we talk right now, you're going to notice that I'm just going to slide right into this segment, Anthony. So I hope you're excited. And I hope you probably don't realize that I've been doing the TV thing right now, and I'm actually doing it right now. Nice. Welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. Again, I'm Jordan Middlebrook, and with me today, artist, illustrator, international man of artistry, Anthony Ventura is with me today. Anthony, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in and taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
To participate in what I like to call By the Wayside.
Nice. Thank you. I'm a big fan of the show.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's not very often that someone in real life says that to me.
Oh, really?
I don't know about Omar, because Omar runs the shop here at Wayside Comics. So I don't know how often people come in and say, hey, Omar, I like the show.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really nice. So thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to probably save that as a ringtone.
Okay.
So now whenever someone texts me or calls me, it's Anthony going,
it's me. I really like your show. I really like your show. Over and over.
Anthony. It's like I'm calling on a student in class. Anthony.
Here, present.
I sure hope so. Your work has been seen all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
What piece out there in the world surprises you the most?
So I did, years ago now, I did a piece for Swatch Watches, which was, so they were going on tour. They were doing some sort of tour across Europe, having a live show. They were part of a convention of some sort. I'm not 100% sure what it was, but I did a piece that was a tearaway poster.
Like in a magazine?
No, so they would have these giant easels set up, and it was like a pad, and the whole pad was my piece, but they were poster sized.
Yeah, okay.
So the patrons of the events could just go over and rip one off and keep it.
Oh, right on, okay.
Yeah, so I probably that one, just because I don't know who has my art hanging on the wall.
Like, could you imagine? That's interesting to think.
Like, I know if somebody in Australia buys a print from me, I know that, and I know that person's name.
Yeah.
But the fact that this one, I don't even know how many pads they had. It was at a lot of events across all of Europe. Yeah. So I just, maybe that, just knowing or not knowing who has and appreciates the art.
Not knowing who has your artwork?
No, but I mean, I appreciate it. If they actually kept it and hung it up, then I appreciate that for sure.
So you have been an artist or an illustrator / artist / international man of artistry for a number of years.
Yes, long time.
Okay. What year was your first piece? Do you remember?
I don't remember the exact year. It was the late 90s. So my first published piece.
Yeah, published piece, yeah.
So actually, when I graduated, I went to Sheridan College in Oakville, as I think a lot of your guests probably
That's
attended.
A question I should start asking that.
Well, I've talked to them here, and yes, a lot of them have.
Periphery host here.
So I actually was hired by so at graduation, I was hired by the theater group who was putting on a production to do their pamphlets.
Oh, right on.
The poster, and it was a full paying job.
Nice.
So that was my first kind of, and it was like immediately when
well, then it goes to show you. Some people say, I go to university or I go to college, and then I struggle for years to try and find work or a job. This guy here just hasn't even graduated yet. He's got a job.
Yeah, and I was so grateful and so excited too, right? Not to say that it was straight uphill climb after that job, but it certainly was fun.
Speaking of your artwork, your artwork is very line heavy. And when I say line heavy, I don't mean the lines are thick. I mean that your artwork, your current artwork, there's a lot of lines. It's like an octopus of art.
Yes.
Is there a reason for that style? Do you have an inspiration?
I would say I like old things, and I like old art, and I've always loved like plates and like the Renaissance area. And my illustrations originally were acrylic painting.
Yeah.
And so they weren't as detailed. And I've always been a comic book fan too. So I just wanted, as technology changed and things were going more digital, I just wanted to start drawing again instead of painting. And I think it was just that motion of learning the lines and the ink that I loved. And then I started just looking at old Irish illustrators.
Oh, right on.
Like Harry Clark and things like that. And I was just obsessed with them.
When you talk about how your the modern look of your artwork and comparing it to work, not comparing it, but taking inspiration from Renaissance artists is something that I've never ever thought of or considered, because I'm going to take a quick step back and I want to circle back
Sure.
to that in a second. But when you were younger, you old man. No,
Yeah.
I don't know how old you are. When you were younger, did you know you wanted to be an artist?
Yeah, I think I did. Like I always drew and I always painted and I was always doing art. And then I was the kid in school that all the teachers, the best artist in the
Yes.
class. And then I think in high school, I had a really good art teacher and two good art teachers actually. And they were both very persistent almost that you should really consider this as a
Yeah.
career path. Um, there's days that I wish I didn't listen to them, but but that's what kind of made me decide and look into it. I made sure I had options in life,
Of
but
course.
right from high school, I went straight to art
Okay.
school.
You talk about art teachers. One thing that I have told people in the past is one of the most influential people in my life
Mm-hmm.
was my high school art teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to name him because
Sure.
I believe I've told him, but I also
Yeah.
haven't seen him in
Yeah.
how many
That's
years.
same.
But Mr. Lottering, and I know that he
Oh.
is local to Newmarket.
Yeah.
But he always said some things to me that I still use today.
Mm-hmm.
Just things he said to me. While I don't have an arts career,
Yeah.
it's his. What's the word? His. Oh man, it's tough. Now I feel.
Yeah,
Now I feel on the
I
spot.
know.
It was his pushing to me, of me to just be me, that
Yes.
allowed me. I said me a lot. That's terrible
Yeah.
broadcasting, but it allowed me to just evolve and become who I am after high school.
Yeah, it was very similar to me. And my high school art teacher that I had a couple years, he was like he was a Renaissance man himself of art. He did architecture, he did painting,
Yeah.
he could. I think he designed his own house, like the blueprints for it. I'm
Jeez.
pretty sure he did. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he did. But he was just so like he would show slides, and I'm not even kidding. He would be drooling over the
really?
sides.
Oh,
Slides.
interesting.
Like he was so into everything. So when he saw students that had the potential, it would just really. And he wasn't the kind of guy that said you need to do this for a living, but he was just like you. This is special, sort of thing,
Yeah.
right? So it was encouraging to hear that. And he actually bought pieces from me
Oh my goodness.
to use as and this might have been grade 11 or 12, I can't remember, but he bought the pieces from me to use in his class, like for the years to come, as examples. So that was, I mean, he didn't pay me very well, but
Anthony Ventura.
yes.
I have never gotten such chills when you told me that story about your art teacher or art teachers, because it solidifies the fact that the arts is so important, not just in the curriculum, but in a young person's life to help develop who they are.
Yeah.
Hey, Omar, could you get the door? Because I believe our next guest, Lund, is here. That's what happens here on By the Wayside. Sometimes people come to the door. Sometimes people knock on the window.
Sometimes they're just standing there.
Well, that couple right there, they just watched us do our segment. So that was really fun to do. If you watch the tape back, you'll see me look her directly in the eyes and be like, yes, this is what's happening over here. So yeah, I have an art history background, or not an art history, sorry. I have a visual arts background. But one of the most important people looking back in my life was Mr. Lottering, who helped to just allow me to evolve and blossom into who I am today.
But yeah, you're 100% right. And even if you have no interest in pursuing art as a career, which is a tough path, so you probably should really consider it. Yeah. But also what you were saying about just taking art and how important it is for everyone, it really is, because it just teaches you a different way to think as well, and to see things and to listen and to apply. And I think, people today, they have the internet, so they can just look up and copy or be inspired by what they see. But without that sort of explanation and verbal encouragement to what you're doing, you're missing out on something.
Yes.
And I think that's an anxiety artists have today, because they don't know where they stand.
Yep.
They put their work online with a million other artists, and they hope to just get those likes.
It is an interesting world how the arts has combined with I'm going to say fear, but the fear of social interaction, knowing that you're not just out there for 10 people, like I'm talking mom, dad, and the cousins.
Yeah.
You're now out there for people across the 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah. And it is, right, like even me to this day, every time I do a client job, I've finished it and I send it off, I'm terrified that I'm waiting for that email to say, this is horrible. Like, we're not paying you, or you need to redo it. Thankfully, that's never happened. They're always very happy with what I do, but it is that, because you don't know where you stand. You're in your little room drawing away for 3 days, and
you hope for the best.
Yeah, you hope for the best.
I've always said on the show that the most perfectionist of people, I didn't say it in those terms, artists are always perfectionists. Yes. It doesn't matter what they do, no matter how anyone else perceives it. You always see that thing that's wrong with that.
Yeah, and I always found the person that tells you they're really good at something, they usually aren't that good at that thing. But the humble, quiet person is usually the one you're going to be like, oh my God, like, look at what that guy did. Like, that's amazing.
Well, Anthony, this is a great segment. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, it's been great.
I can't thank you enough for taking the time.
Yeah, no problem. It's
been
great.
Sitting with me, talking about your past, and really reminding me of how important the arts are to people.
I was looking forward to it. I'm a huge fan of the shop here in Omar, so it's been great to be a part of it.
I think this community itself is very lucky to have a place like Wayside Comics.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't even know. I had no clue. I moved back to town maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I had no clue there was even one other artist in this town, let alone the many I've got to meet here. So
awesome. Don't worry about your phone going off in the
middle. That's okay.
That's fine. I didn't tell you to turn it off. You're an important man.
Yes.
I get it. Yes, he says.
No.
Thanks again, Anthony. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Stick around
so much.
because we have lots more on this episode. Don't go anywhere. All right. Well, welcome back again to this episode of By the Wayside. It's when I wanted to introduce my next guest, Lun Wong. I didn't double check to make sure that's the correct pronunciation.
Yeah.
Lun Wong. Okay, that's fine. I didn't know where to put your title, so I'm just going to read. When I say artist, Lun Wong, my current guest, is saying artist seems like an understatement because of the amount of work that I've seen you do and everything in terms of styles. It seems to transcend what an artist is. So let's just go with creative person.
That works.
You like that one?
Yeah,
I
like that.
All right. Okay. Lun Wong is with me today. Thanks again, Lun, for coming in today. I appreciate
having me.
I'm going to get straight into the questions.
Cool.
Your website shows the gamut of artistic artistic projects. Beyond logos, prints, and even murals, what's next?
I think today, doing my first show in Canada.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Actually, it's probably my first show, like first table show. I've had like galleries and stuff before, but I've never done like in person, like, oh, look at my prints.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, this is
so here today because we record this episode usually in advance. It's never live.
Yeah.
So here today at Wayside Comics and Cocktails, Omar always has a creator spotlight series, and you are tabling with a number of different artists, and you're saying that this is your first in-person artistic event?
I guess it's more that I've never done like a table show before.
Oh, okay, so, a table show. Okay, yeah.
So I've never like had to sell my work in like person sort of thing.
The hard sell is
it's quite daunting, you know.
I could believe that. I've said in the past, I used to design and develop card games and board games.
Oh, sick.
So I went to a couple different shows where, in fact, you have to hard sell yourself.
Yeah.
So someone walks by your table and you've just got your game sitting here, and I understand the hard sell. It is tough. You got to stop and say, hey, do you want to check out this game that I developed? So as an artist, when artists sometimes are very introverted.
Yeah.
And always, like I had said with Anthony, who was on the show earlier, that artists are always perfectionists. So when they see someone may love their artwork, the artist always sees the thing that's wrong in that piece. So I could see when someone comes to your table specifically and they say, "Oh, I love this," and you go, "It's not my best." But in fact, every piece in front of you is your best. You just don't believe it.
Yeah.
So I get it. So when I say what's next, I mean, I had honestly thought you were going to say, "I'm doing a mural here on Main Street." But no, it's actually something you've never done before. And that's actually really exciting, Lon.
Yeah, it's actually I've been meaning to ask Omar if he'd like a mural. Yeah, it's like this is something I've kind of always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think moving here and I think finding Wayside just like kind of, and it just felt like all the directions were pointing that way.
Nice.
So
I
yeah,
like
man.
that. Okay, great. That's good. I like that. I love the positivity on today's episode. Your style, it varies. Is there a reason for that? Is it a personal reason or is it a client reason?
I think it's been a client reason more than anything. I think growing up, like in the UK, it was hard to kind of illustration, which is what I kind of always wanted to do. It was really hard to get into. It was really a niche and it was quite cliquey as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't fit in like that kind of artsy fartsy world,
yeah,
it was very labeled, very like segregated back then. You're either this, well, not so much now, I find. And then like before I could actually like break into the industry, I actually ended up moving to Hong Kong accidentally, and then I just fell into like design, and then I did graphic design for like, I'm still doing it. So, but then eventually, as I went out on my own, I kind of incorporated more of my like artwork into my work.
Yeah.
And then I was approached to do murals, and just my illustrations started getting like just started snowballing. So it was just like, yeah, cool. And then the pandemic hit, and
the what?
Yeah, man.
How the hell does someone just accidentally move to Hong Kong? You don't have to answer that, but boy, oh boy.
Oh no, so it's weird. My dad always used to say to me, "You'd never like cut it out here because it's just so New York on steroids because it just doesn't sleep and it's so small, so everything's so fast." I actually moved over just to like spend time with my grandfather who wasn't well, and he was just like, after like the second month, he's like, "Just get a job."
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so I got a job, and yeah, it was my first job, and yeah, I loved it out there. It was great.
Awesome. Everything just kind of snowballs from there.
Yeah.
So going from Hong Kong to Newmarket, I've personally seen you spend time here at Wayside Comics and Cocktails in Newmarket. You're usually working. I'm not peeking over your shoulder, but I see you here. Is that a conscious choice to work in this environment, or are there external reasons for you to be here?
I think both. I actually asked Omar if he would mind if I worked. When he opened the bigger shop, I asked him if he'd mind if I worked here and like once a week, because it's just, I think when you're a freelancer and you work on your own at home, I mean, it's just, I mean, you must know, it just like, it's cool when you're working, but just like that cut off from the rest of the world, you just get in your head so much.
Yeah.
And I think being here in like what I really feel like is a safe space, and I think knowing that this was just the social aspect of like being a coffee shop and Omar being like really cool.
That's up for debate.
He paid me, so.
Me too.
Yeah, man. So it was just like, I knew people were coming in here, and I knew Omar was really, I think it was his passion more than anything. Like he really cares. And I think that's what drew me. Like even when he opened the shop next door, I remember actually when I moved to Newmarket, my wife showed me a newspaper article and it's like, "Oh, Omar's opening this comic shop." I was like, "Oh, sick!" And it's a bar and stuff. And I came in, and I was just like, "This is everything I always wanted it to be," you know. Yeah. And then he opened this place with a couch and stuff. I was just like, I always like say to my wife, I'm like, I don't want to leave. Like
it's like a second home here.
Yeah.
I've been here multiple times, as have you, and it really does feel like home.
Yeah.
People are like-minded. People are supportive.
Yeah.
And the only other place that could be comparable to this, in sort of the same vein but different vein, is a library.
Yeah.
because you can potentially interact with people at a library, but you can also sit, be by yourself, and still engage in the social aspect of a library.
Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely different. Don't come into Wayside Comics and Cocktails, grab a book off the wall and start reading it. It's not a library. Buy a book first, then sit down.
You have to clarify that, right?
This is on the internet. You know, the 30 people that watch this are going to be like, I gotta go to the library of Wayside.
It's surprising, actually. Someone did that last week, and Omar was like, yeah, people do that. I'm like, they come down, have a beer, and then they'll just grab a comic. I'm like, I don't know, that's a bit too comfortable, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it's interesting. I'm going to do that next. Just to see what happens. We do a show here. Let's see what I can get away with. So, Lun, I'm going to thank you again for coming in today to speak with me on this episode of By the Wayside. But I'm not the first person, and again, now this is when the gotcha journalism comes into play. I'm not the first person that has ever, yeah, I'm getting stuff out. I'm not the first person that has talked about you, in print or on the internet or whatever. So I had heard recently that there was an article about you in Newmarket Today. No, I'm just kidding. Lun, thank you very much for coming in today, spending time with me, especially so early, because I know that you have to set up for your Creator Spotlight series. But again, thank you very much for coming in, and I hope to see more of your work in the future.
Yeah, man, thanks.
Okay, no
Awesome.
problem. Stick around because there is a little bit more, but there's also a lot more in this episode of By the Wayside, so don't go anywhere. Okay, ready? I'm going to start talking. Okay, I'm good. Welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. I'm your host, Jordan Ormbrook. And when I said I'm just going to start talking, everyone started talking. So that's always fun. You know what happens when there's no guest here, when I'm not sitting in the middle. That, of course, means it's an episode. No, it's not an episode. It's a segment of Omar Recommends, and Omar is around. Omar, do you have anything for us to, or are you going to, I forgot this part. Recommend something. Let's start again. Let's start again. I'm not, this is staying, I'm keeping this in though. Hey, it's now time for another segment of Omar Recommends. Hey, Omar, do you have anything to recommend today?
Hi, Jordan. Today I'm going to be doing voices. I'm putting on my best Kermit the Frog voice, but today we're going to be recommending a lovely book called 8 Billion Genies.
Okay. That's it? Okay, I'll talk to you. Thanks for coming. 8
No,
Billion
it's
Genies.
called 8 Billion Genies. Essentially, the premise of this book is, have you ever thought about what would happen if everyone on Earth got a wish and everyone got what they wanted? Well, all hell would kind of break loose. So the premise of this book is, this is really hard to keep up, by the way.
I'm kind of just like waiting and counting down till you stop doing it.
Oh no, now it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong, Jordan.
I've tested it.
Okay. But yes, essentially the premise is everyone gets a wish from a genie, and this one bar owner, he decides that everybody in his bar gets to be absolved from anything that happens outside of the bar. So like they're safe in the bar from the world, and essentially in the next morning, when they open the doors, the world has changed, and all the fallout from everyone getting their wishes is what they have to live with. And it's kind of like this post-apocalyptic wish world. And it jumps through time, and it shows you the fallout. But it's a very human story about what people want, their desires, their needs, and what they actually want.
First of all...
And it's also being turned into a TV show.
Okay, that's where I was kind of going with this, because I have only recently been reintroduced to the world of comic books since you and I have become friends, since you and I have started working on the show, since you and I have become a part of Wayside Creative. One of the greatest things about your Omar Recommends is that you recommend things not just to the audience, but to me, because I typically don't know about the things you're talking about. And comic books is a medium where you don't need a lot of money for anything to happen.
When you work with an infinite budget, you can get a lot of things done.
Yeah, that is...
Jordan did tell me that he would do this with me in this voice. We'd have a Kermit the Frog off.
No.
And he is not fulfilling his end of the bargain. But I'm a man of my word. That was Kermit the Frog doing the Joker from The Dark Knight.
Omar.
Man of my word. It's not easy being a co-host.
I'm still not doing it. I want to do it, but I can't, because this is good stuff. This comic book sounds really good, and I really enjoyed I love having you on.
I'm gonna. So let me get back into character here.
Okay.
Miss Piggy. Okay, I'm good. But yeah. So this is a really good book. I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot of lovely surprises in this book. But essentially, the moment where everyone gets their wish is referred to in the book as G-Day.
Okay.
And the little weird guy on the cover there, that's what the genies kind of look like. I'm gonna try to remove the glare there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a phenomenal book. There's a reason it's been picked up to be a TV show. I highly recommend reading it. You're gonna bleep this up. It's incredible.
I do look forward to reading this book. I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that there's an audio version of this where you do that stupid Kermit voice the entire time.
You have no idea.
I love it.
When they were recasting Kermit, I was like, I think I can make us some money.
I don't think you could, Omar.
Oh damn.
Thank you.
Oh no.
I gotta stop because you're gonna laugh me. Omar, thank you again for taking time out of your day to come to Wayside Comics and Cocktails to do.
I'm always here because it's my job to be here, Jordan. You know, it's not easy being a shop owner sometimes. It's thankless work.
It's 911. Trigger a heart attack. Oh my goodness, Omar, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome, Jordan. We're big fans of what you do here by the Wayside, and we hope to catch you. We hope to catch you folks by the Wayside, and maybe you'll see this episode sometime soon. I don't know.
Okay. Yes.
I think I've broken him.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. You'll never hear this voice again.
I hope not. Okay. Thanks, Omar. And that's an episode of By the Wayside. I'm Jordan Middlebrook. Again, in case you haven't forgotten, I'm the guy that's been doing all the talking through this episode, which I tend to do. I want to thank my guests, Anthony and Lun, and anyone else that made a special appearance. Of course, Omar and his Omar Recommends. Say that again, Omar Recommends. If you're interested, I encourage you to follow me on Instagram. That'll come up here. That's the show. Or you can follow me on my creator account, which is here. Again, vacation.jordan. That's why the shirt is so awesome. If you also want to know more about the creator imprint that I am a part of, Wayside Creative, I encourage you to head to waysidecreative.com for the publishing imprint that focuses on cinematic storytelling told through visionary eyes of people like you. Talking so fast, I don't even know what I'm saying sometimes. And don't forget, the Wayside Creator Con is happening at the end of October on the 27th at I wrote it down because I didn't want to get it wrong. Oh, Sugar Plum Fairies. I have a blank card, so I did not write it down. It's at Market Brewing Company. Market Brewing? It's at Market Brewing. It's at Market Brewing in Newmarket, Ontario on October 27th. Head to waysidecreative.com for more information about the show. You can come into the shop. You can talk to Omar. Reach out to me through Instagram if you want. I saw Omar's Instagram handle pop up while the Omar Recommends was happening. Reach out to him. Again, thank you very much for joining me. Check the Patreon if you want the show to happen weekly, daily. Let's do something amazing together. Every episode I do is absolutely amazing. Every single guest is absolutely amazing. I love hearing your stories. If you want to be a guest, reach out to me on any of those channels. I will get back to you. And I know that we didn't talk about it, but hey, Lun, before I close this episode, can I see your shoes? No, I don't care what you do. You can slap them up on this table. I don't care. I got to show people these shoes are amazing. Look at these shoes. These shoes.
It's actually like
They're all there we go.
Ben and Jerry, Nike SB Dunks. They're pretty rare.
Well, they are pretty awesome. That's all I know. Rarity or not, they're awesome. Thanks again, Len. I appreciate that. Thank you to all of my guests. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. We'll talk later.